So we're going to do a little bit of marriage stuff, better half. So we're going to talk with Emily, more so than you, Matthew. And so I'm curious. You can weigh in on this. I'll let you tell the story of how you proposed, and then I'll let you correct him.
Okay. So we fell hard and fast. And shortly after we started dating, I suffered a severe injury to my left arm. I fell through a window, and I'll spare you all the gory details, but I almost lost my life and wound up in intensive care, several complications to surgeries. I've got a scar that runs down my left forearm to this day, and I offered to show it to people at my shows for $1 a person.
Nice.
Just 'cause these are tough times. But that injury and that time in the hospital really brought us together in a really special way. She was someone who stayed by my side. She sat outside of my hospital room. She met my parents the first time because they flew in from Chicago. And for several weeks after that, like, I couldn't tie my own shoe. And so I had stitches, and she would come and she would like help tie my shoes, and she would drive me to physical therapy. And so we got really close really fast.
It's interesting how the Lord prepares us for things, and he was just setting you up for a life of baby in him. Yeah.
That's true.
Cutting his meat.
Yeah. Well, how many times have I asked her a question and she'll be like, honey, I already have 2 kids. I don't need a third one.
Exactly.
So,
did I marry you or have you?
Exactly. But the actual proposal was, we had been dating for 3 months, but she had said something to me. She's like, I was like, I don't have money for a nice ring or anything, but I know I want to marry you. And she's like, you could pull over on the side of the road and take a blade of grass and tie it around my finger, and I would say yes. And so little did she know was I had already been shopping with her best friend to pick out the perfect ring. And I had the perfect ring, but I also took a blade of grass and put it in a little box. And we were at her apartment, and we were going somewhere. And I told her, I was like, I know I can't get you a ring, but you said this would do for now. And I gave her that box with the blade of grass, and she was like, oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah. I didn't mean any of that stuff. I wanted to rock.
Exactly. I think she was super disappointed. Yeah. And that's when I actually hit my knee and gave her the real thing, and she said yes.
Nice. Yes. Okay, did he get it accurate?
Very accurate. Yeah, wouldn't change a thing. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay, now they say that opposites attract.
Hey, I got one clap over there. Nowadays, they film the whole thing.
Oh, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
It's an epic movie
they
trailer.
Got drones in the sky, and it looks like The Bachelor.
Cameras and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. Like my daughter got engaged in Iceland under the Northern Lights.
See?
Your blade of grass story is great, though.
Ours is like, we were at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so they say opposites attract, all right? Nice. So here's what I want you guys to do is tell me how you are alike and how you're different.
Great question. That's why Wally's here.
Okay. Do you want to answer it?
Go for it.
Well, I just think I'm punctual, organized, and neat.
Okay, and he's none of those
things. Right? What did you say?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So you went straight for the differences.
Well, the difference. Yeah. And, okay, no.
Yeah. Well, and we're different in a lot of ways.
We're different in a lot of ways.
Like even down to I love coffee.
I don't drink coffee.
She does not drink coffee. In the beginning of our marriage, I was like, how is this going to work?
Right.
If we can't sit and have coffee together. And turns out I got what I wanted, which was not a good thing. Was she found a drink that she likes at Starbucks. It just happens to be $6.50.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to order it, and you hate ordering it because it's pink.
It's girly.
I would say those are pretty accurate differences, among others.
Yes.
How are you guys really the same? Because that's the thing with the mirror. Like, okay, when you build a morning show, you want people that are radically different but the same, because you want them to get to the same place but in a different way. And so in marriage, I think is the same way. You've got to be really alike on the big things and those things.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we're talking about our differences too, though, like the structure that like Emily's organization and keeping our house a home, like, because I would come off the road and I'd try to be fun dad and be like, I just got back in town. The kids don't have to go to school. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
Like when you come back, like we got a system here and you ain't going to mess that up. And I don't know where I'd be without that type of structure. As far as similarities, I think the first thing on the list that comes to mind is that we are like-minded in putting the Lord first and deciding that as for our house, we will serve the Lord. And so, like, the similarity we have there is like her heart for the Lord inspires me to chase after God even more. So first and foremost, like where there's that connectivity, there's a recipe for a successful marriage.
Absolutely.
And that's probably the biggest similarity, that when I realized how much she loves Jesus, I was like, okay, that's a woman I want to spend my life with.
Well, now, Emily, you had your career, as you mentioned, before you met Matthew and stuff. So I am curious, though, did you ever struggle with, at some point in time during your transition from you had your career and you're Emily to now you're Matthew's wife? Sometimes people would refer to you like that, but you're your own person and your own thing. Like, did you ever struggle in losing yourself inside of that a little bit?
Honestly, no. I think what was really nice is at first, when we were first married and before our kids came, it was the hardest thing, I should say. It was you were on the road and I was at work. And so then I started sort of doing other jobs that could make it so I didn't have to be 9 to 5. I became a stylist and did some things so I could travel with him a little bit. Back then he was in like a van, so I didn't want to travel with him.
No, that's the worst. Early music guys, it's horrible.
Yeah. But I mean, we just found a way for me to stay home eventually, and then we started having kids. So, but I don't know, I've just always been in full support of what he does, and I know the Lord has called him to it, and I've always felt like my job, not that I'm like some 1950s wife, but like the home is the place he needs to come home and rest. The home is supposed to be, I cook dinner, the house is clean, the kids are,
House is clean. I want you. Can you call my wife?
I know, it's very clean.
She hates to clean and dust. She hates to dust.
She hates to dust. That's not
And I
that much of
vacuum.
it.
Yeah. I'm like, hey,
I love to vacuum.
Do you really?
Yes, it's like you just
Therapeutic or something.
Think, right?
Yeah.
Well, how many times have I come home and like she's like, hey, you're not at the Hilton Garden Inn. Like, you got to pick up your clothes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, the artists, I know more guys that come home and they struggle with that because you have tour managers, you have roadies, you have all these people that are designed to do things to enable you to do what you do and shine in that moment. You come home and they're like,
Serve me.
Right. Well, I think there's something to be said for him being able to come home and it being the place where he can rest and relax. He still drops his laundry in the kitchen, and you know what I mean? But I don't know.
She's not bitter.
I'm not bitter. I really am not. Sometimes it drives me crazy, kind of, but I'm not bitter.
I definitely push the limits for sure. But that's when I realized, like, early in our marriage, my mom bought us each the 5 love languages book.
Those are really good,
Those
though.
are good.
Yes, it's like obvious but also profound. You know what I mean? But when I realized, I thought I was going to be God's gift to her because I could write her a love song, and that would be my get out of jail free ticket every time. Like, hey, honey, and when I realized I write her a song, she'd be like, oh, that's sweet. But when I vacuumed, it's like, hey,
I love him.
I love him.
I made a good choice all those years ago. All right. Well, you talk about like you want to make things in the home good for him for when he comes home and it's his place for rest and things like that. But what do you need from him?
Honestly, he just makes me laugh.
That's good.
Like, he makes our life. My aunt and I are very close, and we talk about, she's like, when my kids were little, I was the structure, and I kind of held everything together and kept the systems in place, and she said my husband was the fun. And I was like, that's so us. Like, he's the Disney World. He's the getting us all together. Let's go walk downtown Franklin. Let's go, do. Yeah. And so I think that's why, even though we're opposite in a lot of ways, that's why it really works, because he's, as funny as you all see him to be, he truly is at home, and he keeps us all laughing, and we know how loved we are. And I know if tomorrow I said, I need you just to not go out of town this weekend, he'd be like, okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
We come first.
That's good. I see too many guys that, they're out doing what the Lord's called them to do, but then home suffers.
Oh, man.
You've probably seen that with your peers.
No, Wally, I mean, like, honestly, early on, I think sometimes the word conviction gets a bad rap because conviction is a good thing. It sounds bad, but it's like, it's the Holy Spirit.
Unless it's in a legal sense.
Yeah. This is true too. But even then, but in my case, a spiritual conviction, just that realization that I refuse to get to the end of this having built a successful career or ministry and then I failed in my home.
Absolutely.
And so like that has haunted me in the best way ever since we started having kids, even just going like, if my kids, say of me, oh yeah, Dad had he was one way on stage, but you didn't know him behind closed doors. Or, oh yeah, he reached a ton of people, but I never got to see him. Like, oh, that makes me sick to my stomach just thinking about it. And so, the power of no has become something that, like, hey, you know what? Could I have made more money? Could I have played more shows? Could I have whatever, stroked my own ego at different times? The answer is probably yes, but at what cost?
Right.
And she's helped me continue to, like, she's helped build a life that, like, I want to, like, that's where I want to be famous in my home. You know what I mean? I want to be, I want that to always be front and center. That's what God's called me to first and foremost, the people that I get to raise up.
Well, I am curious for you, Emily, then, like, what is the hardest part about not being married to Matthew, but being married to Matthew West? What is hard that comes with that for you?
Probably, I'm not going to give you the answer, but I was just thinking how riled up you get when people, like, send hateful messages to me on social media.
I was sitting here thinking, really, it's not. I don't know. We just have. It doesn't feel hard, that part, but I think that would be it. I'm a what's the word? Like a freedom fighter. Like,
She's
don't
a freedom
you say
fighter.
something bad about my husband or my kids, or it is
100%.
on. You know what I mean? So I find myself kind of wanting to.
I'll have to. Do not comment. Do not send a comment. But,
I know she'll have to tell me not to.
but everybody loves to share their opinions on social media. Did you guys realize that?
Yeah.
I mean, years ago, Wally had me.
Did you?
Wally, well, one time I came in to do an interview with Wally, and he's like, okay, here's what we're going to do today. Here's some hate mail I've received from listeners. You're going to turn it into a nice song.
But I am offended, and I believe Jesus is offended too.
And make the comments sound sweet.
So good.
I was like, no, that's the right perspective. Like, to just say, God bless you. I'm praying for
Yep,
you. So,
right.
But I mean, there's probably lots of challenges to.
I mean, you being gone, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can miss some things here and there, but I don't know. We've just, from the beginning, we've talked about this the other day. Like, well, who is it that you heard say about when you're leaving town? Like, when our kids were little, you did for a little while. You'd be like, Daddy has to go out of town, and I'm so sorry. I'm going to miss you so much. And when I get back, it's going to be ice cream and rainbows, and so I love you, and I miss you. I'm going to miss you. And then someone was saying, no, Dad has to go to work. You say, I'll be back on Monday. I love you so much. Like, it doesn't have to be. You know what I
don't
mean?
have to dramatize
Right,
it. John,
right. You're doing your job.
He's an author. He came on my podcast.
Acuff?
John Acuff.
Oh, yeah.
He was saying how he would make such a big deal about leaving town to speak because he was projecting his own guilt.
Yeah.
And then the kids are crying. And finally his wife was like, hey, you don't have to make this, a 3-act play. Like, just, we get it.
You're not
We
that
support
great,
you.
honestly.
Yeah, exactly. But he said it just kind of set him free. And I will say, like, Emily has always almost, like, her level of independence almost scared me in the beginning of our relationship because it was like she was so able to, like, continue. Like, I was like, do you miss me? Like, but I realized what a gift that was, that it's never been like, how dare you go and do what God has called you to do. And the times we get to do that together as a family, like, one of the biggest chapters of our story was we made the difficult decision to homeschool our kids for 4 years. And when I say we homeschooled our kids, I mean, I was the principal and the music teacher, but she did all the work. And we were on a tour bus together as a family. And the tour bus was the kids' jungle gym and their classroom. And that, like, selfishly was the greatest chapter of life. And because we were so close together and she worked so hard and we had my mom on the road, it was just awesome. But, like, those kinds of things, we've always tried to make it not like Dad goes and does this. I want this to be our family's ministry. Even to this day, like, I do a podcast and once a month Emily's my guest.
Nice.
And guess what everybody's favorite episode is?
It's
when
her.
Emily joins.
100%.
And she's now using her platform, like, on social media. She does incredible things like raising. She'll put out an APB and say, hey, there's a teacher in an inner city classroom who doesn't have money for supplies. Here's an Amazon list of what she needs. And literally, like, right now, there's an inner city ministry that needed food for snack bags for kids who don't have any food at home. And she put out a message on her social media feed. No joke, like 300 boxes have showed up at our house.
That's
and
awesome.
She's packing snack bags, and it's just like, that's the kind of stuff that inspires me, of like a song reaching a whole bunch of people. That's one thing, but like boots on the ground, like helping serve, like she uses her platform. And so it's become this collective family ministry that I'm really proud of.
That's awesome. Well, what would you say? How long have you guys been married now?
22 years.
22.
23
Lightweight.
in May. Come on, what are you?
33.
Come on.
Yeah.
Round of
Yeah.
applause for Wally.
My wife is a saint, man.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I met, this is the most random thing, but I was in Cincinnati, Ohio on Friday, and my daughter was on the road with me, and we went to the mall, because whenever she's with me, that's where we wind up. We're at the makeup store, Sephora, and I look up, and guess who's standing in front of me? Alice Cooper.
Oh, no way.
The heavy metal star. With golf clothes on
Yeah.
and like permanent eyeliner.
Yeah.
And I said, "You're Alice Cooper." He's like, "Yeah." And I said, "My name's Matthew West, and I'm a Christian singer, and I've heard that you've come to faith in Jesus." And he goes, "Absolutely." And his wife was standing next to him, and his wife goes, "You're Matthew West?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I'm a dance instructor, and I teach." She started quoting my songs. She's like, "I've done dances to your songs." So we're standing in a makeup store talking to Alice Cooper about Jesus. And he goes, "How long you been married?" I said, 22 years. He said, "We've been married 50." He said, "I've been married 50 years to the same woman." And I was like, "Thanks for clarifying."
Yeah, he's an interesting dude, man.
It was crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So who knows? Maybe the collab you never knew. Maybe we'll be coming to Wally with a duet with Matthew.
Oh,
and
I
Alice.
would love that. You kidding me? I would play the heck out of that.
School's out for summer.
So what? You've got 22 years in the game. What do you think would be good advice for? I want it twofold. Okay. Good advice if you're telling younger people getting married is one, and then two is for people that have been married for a little bit of time. What would your advice be?
Great.
Because I think it's different.
Yeah, great question. Do you want to go?
Well, I'll just tell you what I say. We have two daughters. They're 16 and 19. We say this to them all the time. If the boy you're dating or the boy you like isn't pushing you toward Jesus, then he's a no.
Yeah.
So in everything that we've gone through, his arm, pregnancy, like all the things, all the ups and downs in our lives, in our marriage, the only thing that has kept us strong, the biggest thing has been, of course, our faith in Jesus. And that's always my prayer for my kids, is that they marry men that love Jesus and then them next, in that order. Do you know?
Love that.
Yeah, I think, and that answer really applies to both scenarios you just laid out, whether it's somebody who's been married for a long time or a newlywed, like Jesus at the center of your life and at the center of your marriage. We can't do it without him. I can't make it one day without Jesus, or else I'm going to go off the rails, let alone trying to lead a family and have a healthy marriage. One of the things that I would say after 22 years, I think about the word forgiveness.
Oh, yeah.
And I think about one of the things that's been in my brain and in my heart for a long time, and this is so hard to live by, but I always think, like, if forgiveness is the finish line, like, be on a race to get there first.
Yeah.
And that's whether it's asking for forgiveness or saying you're sorry, or accepting forgiveness and forgiving the other person. Like, I think that is such a key to a healthy marriage. It's so hard to, like, admit when you're wrong.
Absolutely.
And, like, when you both dig your feet in, it's just like that standoff. Like, we've had that in the past where it's just like, I'm not saying I'm sorry, and you're not saying you're sorry, and we're going to hold on to that. And where does that get us? That gets us a week down the road and only further apart, and the tensions rise, and the whole family can feel it, and there's just nobody wins in those situations. So I think about the importance of, like, learning to humble yourself and say, hey, I screwed up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And hopefully she'll be able to say that. Like, it may take me a minute to get there.
Sure.
But gosh, I hope I'm getting there faster as the years go on, because, like, I just want to be, like, I want a healthy marriage, and I want to be humble enough to say, I mishandled that situation. I'm sorry. Can you forgive me? And she is so quick to forgive, and unfortunately has to do it so often.
Yeah, because in y'all's last fight, I was Team Emily, for sure. Yeah, I don't even know what it was, but I was on your team. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
So, okay, let's talk about marriage vows for a second. Okay, so we all get married. We have our marriage vows, for better, for worse, sickness and health, rich or poor. We'll skip forsaking all others, because I don't know if there's something there. I don't want to make it an expose. So for better or worse, what is one better time and what is one worse time in your marriage?
Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
Well, I'll go with the best, and you go for the.
Yeah, go.
Well, I mean, the best time. I woke up the other morning thinking about this. The best time was the day our kids were born. I know that's probably very obvious, but I just, like, if I could redo that day, every minute of that day over and over again, I would.
Really?
Oh,
Even the pain.
Even the pain. I got an epidural.
But
Oh yeah, but even still,
Like-
even still.
No, I would do all of it. Both of our girls. I mean, we have a little picture. It's like the first picture of the three of us when our oldest was born in our bedroom. I think the doctor took it, and I'm laying, and he's holding this little baby, and he's looking at me, and it's just like, oh, the best day of our life for sure.
That's great.
she's all talk though, because I have offered and said, hey, we could run that back. We could
Yeah.
have another kid.
Yeah.
And she's like, kitchen's closed.
Yeah.
No. So like,
Too
she
old.
loved that. So that was the best.
That was the best.
Okay, worst.
Well, I think probably the worst was, but we weren't married, but your injury to your arm. Oh no, you know what? Your vocal
Your
cord.
vocals.
Yeah, that was hard.
Yeah.
You tell them that story.
That was the worst
Probably.
for you?
I think so.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Well,
gosh,
what was
What's
your
your
worst for
worst?
her? Yeah, now I'm intrigued.
how much time do we have, Wally?
Oh.
No, I just hate that it's always about my physical injuries, but yeah, I did.
You're frail. The Lord didn't make you strong.
I'm
frail.
injury prone.
Sickly.
That's why I didn't make it to the major leagues. But no, I had throat surgery just as my career was starting to take off in music. My voice took off, and it was a pretty helpless feeling. We had our oldest Lulu was in the world and kind of going, why can't Dad speak? And that was a
'Cause you
really
were
heavy
on
season.
Vocal rest.
Yeah, I had to
Yeah.
be on vocal rest for like 2 months while my throat healed, and they weren't sure if my voice was going to heal properly or what my voice would sound like when I came back. And so your livelihood,
Yeah.
we had to dip into, every penny we had saved. It was a real starting over point, and a scary one, because like, how am I going to provide for my family? I think it was about an entire year before I was able to step on stage again. So every show was canceled, and that was, no revenue coming in, those kinds of things. That was a heavy time. But once again, couldn't have made it through without Emily's support and just being there for me, praying me through that, and knowing that I'm prayed for. I mean, I'd go back to one other advice. It's kind of piggybacking off putting Jesus at the center, but like literally praying for your spouse.
Yeah.
Like, I lift up my wife every day. I know she lifts me up every day, and it's like that. There is power in a prayer from a spouse. So I'm thankful for that. But yeah, I would say, I mean, obviously it's hard to beat the best times of holding your babies for the first
Sure.
time. But when I'm thinking specifically of our marriage, like, gosh, we've had some incredible times together. Like before we had kids, I remember we splurged and we're like, we're going to take a trip. It was like our version of splurging as young people. Like, we're going to Italy.
Oh, I was gonna say Dollywood.
Yeah, Dollywood, yeah. But we like went to Italy on a budget, and like it was, I just remember that trip together of just like learning how to live with each other
Yeah.
and become best friends and like explore the world together. So we've gotten to take incredible trips together and do so many fun things.
Okay,
And I actually love spending time with her, which is, that's a key to a long marriage too. Like
Yeah.
we love
Oh, yeah.
hanging out. We love hanging out together.
Yeah, it's like, why do I want to be somewhere else? Like people are like, oh, you want to go do this, do this? I know, I'm good at home with my wife. I like that time.
Well, and I'll be like, hey, do you want to come on the road with me this weekend? But the problem is it only depends on the location. If I'm like, she's like, well, where are you playing? I'm like,
Yeah.
Fargo, North Dakota in January. She's like, I got a thing. I can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm like, Fort Lauderdale. She's like,
Done.
oh, you know what? I'm free. I'm free.
Okay, you mentioned taking a splurge trip and things like that. So for richer or for poorer, what's the poorest you've ever been? Because you're good now. You've established yourself in this industry for a long time, and you've worked hard to get there. What's the poorest you were coming up, like as a struggling musician?
Yeah, so recovering from my first major injury, I thought I had developed this career as an independent artist and was playing college campuses, and I was traveling around the country, and I would get like, it was like it was like the best kept secret. Like, I didn't have a record deal, but these colleges would pay me to come in and play, and I was just like storing money away, and I was like, I'm actually making a good living as an independent artist. I made the least amount of money in my entire career the year I signed a record deal.
Oh, really?
Because that was the year that like all the like independent stuff I was doing had to go away.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I signed this record deal, and then I had this injury, and I had literally had to dip into every bit of my savings. So I thought I was coming into a marriage like, I'm going to actually be able to take care of this girl. And it wound up being like the scales tipped all the way back to zero and had to completely start over. So that first year coming back from this severe injury to my arm was probably the poorest we ever were, right?
I remember when we were talking about getting married, and I guess it was around the time you had your injury, and you had $10,000 in the bank. Do you remember that? And I was like, "You have $10,000?" And then
I hit the mother
you
load.
10, but it was from
She's like,
that.
"That's such good news because I have 10,000 in debt."
Yeah, really, for sure. So then, it's so true. But then
The Lord
he ended up,
provides.
it's like so then but we ended up using that money after
To
you
pay off your debt.
Well, no, we ended up using that money when you didn't have any money coming in from your arm.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what you lived on.
We literally lived off
we weren't
of
married
what I
then,
had
but-
in savings.
Yeah.
And that was, so it's been like, I've had to start over a couple different times.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for the Lord's faithfulness in that. But it's crazy because you don't realize when you're starting in music that you actually have to be a CEO. And you have to
Right.
actually have a business acumen that you develop even if it doesn't come naturally. So like now I get to manage other young artists, and that's one of the things that I run them through is like this understanding, like you're a CEO now, you have to understand the business side of this, or else you're going to look up one day and because artist careers, like I can't believe, and even interviews like this are great moments for me to say thank you, God, for like the chance to do this, for this amount of time, because the average artist career is a lot like the average NFL career. It's like 3 seasons,
Yeah.
right? You have this brief season of like accumulation of any wealth you're going to have, and then you got to figure out how to make that last, right? And so I try to always encourage young artists to think on a business level too, to make sure that they're not doing stupid stuff. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I was talking with a young artist of going like, hey, when we go on tour, we don't stay at fancy hotels. We stay at, we stay at the
Quality
Holiday Inn,
Inn.
the Quality Inn on tour, so that you can stay at the nice hotel on vacation.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. Well, let's talk about work for a minute like this. Okay, so you are one of the most prolific songwriters that I know. Like, you're constantly writing. Does he ever run songs by you and be like, what do you think about this one?
Yeah,
Get your
all the time.
opinion?
All the time.
Because you used to be in the business too.
Yeah. He we have a piano in our living room, and he'll tinker, all the time, weekly, and what do you think of this? Or I remember, what was the song that we went on a walk? Me on Your Mind. He wrote this song called Me on Your Mind, and was it during the pandemic? We go behind our house is a neighborhood, and we just it's like a big mile and a half, so we'll go and walk that with our dogs. And he started telling me the words to Me on Your Mind, and I just started crying.
Oh,
I was
really?
like, that's the most beautiful, and that's still probably my favorite song you've ever written. But I was like, you have to write that, and sure enough, you did and released it, and it was very popular song. But yeah,
Do you tell him when he's got one that's not so good?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually know of one.
You do?
I actually know of one.
Which one?
Years ago, we did a contest thing, and we had Matthew write a song based on a listener's life, and it was a lady who was a nurse, and she missed the opportunity to share Jesus with a lady, and that lady died.
Oh.
And she felt so guilty. I know it's not funny, sorry. But like, she felt so guilty, and so you wrote a song for that called The Difference. And so you came in and you played it live, and we're saying, I'm like, oh, this is great, it's great. And you, after the thing, you're like, yeah, I played it for my wife. She said, it's horrible.
She will. She'll tell me, and my daughters will do the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
My daughters are the worst about going,
So's mine.
oh, they'll say, like, that one sounds like this
Such and
other one.
such.
They'll always try to compare it to some. I'm like,
Yeah.
Dad is an original. I'm not copying anybody, but she'll give me honest feedback, which you gotta have. Like, I can't have a bunch of people just like telling me everything I do is
You can't.
great. You
No.
gotta have
don't
honest
have that.
feedback. You know what I mean? So she's picked several of the songs that have gone on to like
Oh, really?
be career songs. She'll be like, I think that one's gonna do it. I think that one's gonna
Nice.
do it. So
That's kind of cool.
yeah, and she really resembles. I mean, there's a lot of like. I mean, there's a demographic that she understands too. Like, so I think she's coming at it from a perspective of like, what is somebody who she doesn't make music for a living, but she knows what moves her.
Right.
And it's like, I want that. You know what I mean? I can get too in the weeds, but I'm always like, if you saw my phone, like the amount of song titles I
Yeah.
have in my phone, even from this morning or whatever, just like it's constant. I can't turn that off.
Right.
Sometimes probably to a point of annoyance for her, I would say.
Just when you're making an album, that's when it's like, oh Lord, we're having to listen.
And you
to
play
this
it
song
over and over and over again?
in the car on the way
Yeah.
to church. I'm like,
Yeah. I know. My wife, like, if I'm editing things, she'll sit there and I'm editing, and she's like, "Oh my gosh,
Give it a rest.
like it's not right yet," you know. And so yeah, I get that. My daughter, like yours, is really honest. She thinks she's like my boss. I think sometimes, like, she heard a break and we were in the car. I was like, it was a replay, and I still remember her going, "Yeah, I think you could have gotten out earlier."
Yeah.
I could have landed
Is
the
this
plane.
song still going?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'd say the biggest annoyance for her is when, like, sometimes I'll do, and this is where Wally and I are very much brothers from another mother, but, like, you know, the humor part. Like, I think sometimes in music we can take ourselves too seriously, and so I've always loved chances to bring levity to situations, and I'm not afraid to be goofy. Like, I remember early in my career, record labels turned me down because they didn't think I was a rock star enough. They were like, "You need to be a little more brooding. You need to be this or that," and I'm like, that's not who I am. I'm goofy. Like, I have fun. I made up a song on stage in front of a crowd, and a label had come to see me. And the label just thought that was the cheesiest thing in the world. But guess who loved it? The crowd.
The crowd, yeah.
And, like, they were flipping out because I was making up a song about the kid in the red sweatshirt. And they were just, that was amazing, right? Because I understood connecting with the crowd. They were trying to think, is this guy corny?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, what if I am kind of corny? That's okay. So every now and then I'll make up a goofy song, and then every now and then I'll take the step of actually, like, during the pandemic, I released a song called Quarantine Life.
Quarantine life, quarantine life.
That
Yeah.
like went crazy on the internet. And then of course it was during the pandemic. I couldn't hire actors for the music video.
Uh-huh.
So they hated that.
Oh, they hate. They're
And
like,
then
it
I
needs
did
to
a
go
song
away.
called Gobble Gobble for Thanksgiving. And
Love
that
that.
song will not leave me alone now. It's become
It's your Hanukkah song.
It
for
is
Adam
my-
Sandler.
Gobble, gobble one. Gobble, gobble two.
Yes, it is.
but now we use the song to raise money to feed the homeless at Thanksgiving, and we're doing like this kids version this year. But the music video featured them and
Yeah.
my daughters.
Oh, they hate
like
it.
that's one thing I think that's going to send them to counseling.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
time, Dad made us dress up as turkeys.
Yes.
And have a
Lulu's
food
in
fight.
college, and that
Yes.
stuff doesn't die.
Doesn't die.
Yeah.
So the other day, I did something that I thought was funny, and somebody else didn't think it was funny, and she was like, she goes, "You're done being funny. Enough with the funny
That's
songs."
the